For we are opposed around the world by a monolithic and ruthless conspiracy that relies primarily on covert means for expanding its sphere of influence, on guerrillas by night instead of armies by day. On infiltration instead of invasion, on subversion instead of elections.
If I were the devil, I'd take from those who have and give to those who want it until I had killed the incentive of the ambitious.
The violence and vandalism is being led by Antifa and other radical left-wing groups who are terrorizing the innocent, destroying jobs, hurting businesses, and burning down buildings. They are coming after me because I am fighting for you. That's what's happening.
Greetings, fellow thought criminals, and thank you for joining the insurrection. I'm Michael Alver, and today I'm joined by Inaz Annie Cyrus and Relentless Bill Robinson from Newsmax. How are you both doing this morning?
Amazingly good. How you doing?
Oh, just another day in paradise.
Oh, come on. That's when you're like, I'm doing great too. Snow is here. We don't have fall season. We're jumping right into winter.
Yeah, it kind of got skipped this year, huh? Didn't it? It went right from summer to freezing cold up here. And I think it's all going to melt today, at least here in Ohio, but we'll see what else happens.
Oh,
but yeah,
mine already melted. All of it. By this morning it's gone.
It's getting there here. It's not all gone yet. But, this is a little early for snow normally. I mean, I remember a couple times as a kid where it snowed all the way in October, but we don't usually get this kind of weather this early, especially having almost 5 inches of snow on the ground yesterday. But it's going to be
Bill,
60 again by Friday.
Warm?
Huh?
Are you keeping warm over there?
I am. I'm keeping warm in the mountains of North Carolina, and I'm ready to go today. This is a great topic for me. I'm ready to light the fires and smoke the tires.
Perfect.
Let's do it.
All right. Well, we got, before we get to our main stories, we got two other things I want to cover here real quick, especially this insanity. Biden appointed judge poised to order mass release of illegal aliens detained during ICE's Operation Midway Blitz. So this is 4,000 people, illegal aliens, the vast majority of which already wanted criminals. He wants them released back onto the streets of Chicago. For reasons I'm not really entirely sure. Now, this is the same judge that before was trying to block ICE from picking up other illegal aliens. Like, if they have to go kick down somebody's door and pick them up because, they raped somebody or wanted for assault or whatever, they grab anybody else who's also an illegal alien that happens to be within that house or that apartment. So he before tried to interfere with that, saying, oh, well, this doesn't apply because ICE's jurisdiction for not needing a regular warrant to grab somebody, that only applies to criminal illegal aliens, even though that's not really true. Because all illegal aliens are already criminals. But later today, he's supposed to make a ruling that 4,000 of these people, roughly, or over 4,000, are to be released back onto the streets of Chicago for, again, unspecified reasons, pretty much. Some concocted civil rights nonsense. But again, this is just to stand in the way. I mean, I think it's time for Trump and the Trump administration to finally stand up to these judges and just say no, that you're exceeding your authority. This is harming the people of Chicago. These are criminals that we've picked up. These aren't just regular good old fashioned illegal aliens. These are criminals, and you want us to put them back on the street to make things less safe. I mean, this is insane. So it's time to put your foot down, President Trump, and just start ignoring some of these judges that are making these kind of rulings.
I would actually go a little bit more radical. Don't put your foot down, President Trump. Use it to kick their butt off of their seats.
Yeah. I mean, this is why
one thing, it's a new thing to me. I started learning about it, but these judges, any judge in America, from a local divorce judge to the federal to the super, it doesn't matter. Any kind of judge could lose their license if they do anything that is against the law. The state, local, federal doesn't matter. Illegals are illegal. There's a reason it's illegal. Whatever
Yeah.
is illegal is a crime. This man should be removed.
Yeah. Deport him.
I said that off air before we assumed like, can we deport him? But I'm guessing he's American born, so just remove him from his seat and make an
Yeah.
example out of. Here's the thing: we have witnessed the left constantly make an example out of. I mean, do I need to talk J6?
Yeah.
Why
Oh,
can't we start making? And I'm not saying go out of your way, just using our existing laws in order. Get some of these judges to be the example for the rest of them to sit back, relax, and don't cross lines when it comes to their job.
exactly. We should end the filibuster and start removing all these judges. I'm sick and tired of watching Boasberg and the rest of the usual offenders pop up with all these idiotic lawsuits or orders to stop, whether it's deportations, deploying the National Guard, going after defunding this and that, or firing federal employees who, again, serve at the pleasure of the president. But for some reason now, judges think that they can intervene and prevent him from removing people that work under the executive office. I mean, it's ridiculous. These aren't individual cases. I've barely seen any of these come across the news desk that have any type of merit whatsoever. Again, I've mentioned over and over again the one for the $2 billion where it was money already owed. They'd already rendered their services. That's the only case I can think of offhand that actually had some merit to it. Again, like it or not, if the company's already delivered what we told them to do, even if it was under a previous president, we owe the money. Sorry, that's the way it works. We can't start not paying bills unless there's fraud or something else that's involved. But otherwise, these are all just totally uncalled for. These are warped interpretations of the rules or of the law that they're using to move these cases forward, or in some cases, no interpretation of the rule of law. Bill, what are your thoughts on this?
Well, just another stellar reason why we have to nuke the filibuster, as you pointed out. We have to get rid of Boasberg, obviously. We have to get rid of this guy who violates every rule of or actually fits in nicely with the Robinson rule of just take a look at these people. That guy looks like, from the eyes to the demonic smile, the guy looks like the physical embodiment of Moloch, Satan's best buddy. And we're going to have to start taking a look at people before they're hired or before they're put in these positions, because all you really got to do is look at this guy's face and you're already worried about what kind of heinous crimes he's going to commit from the bench. And so, really bad news. Boasberg has to go. He's recently reared his ugly head in the Senate phone scandal. He seems to be behind everything, from the Trump persecutions to the Senate phone scandal. God knows what else he's going to be. He's probably involved with. Wasn't his daughter involved? And taking money, giving it to Democrats, and then involved with Jack Clark. I mean, the whole thing is a gigantic cabal. I mean, cabal, we use that word a lot, but this is an actual cabal. And these people just have to be, as Annie said, deported. We should deport them. There's absolutely no reason why a natural-born U.S. citizen can't be denaturalized. But before we get to that point, we really have to get to the 11,000 people, like the 11,000 Somalis in Michigan that voted for Ilhan Omar. Now, the Somalis are a really great example of Muslims who are hated even by other Muslims. They are so vicious. I spent 6 weeks in Kenya, and they just come over the border, and the Kenyans are really kind of beautiful people. There are a lot of Muslims in Kenya, but they smile a lot. They've got a charm to them. The Somalis have no charm, and hashtag remember Black Hawk Down. So we need to start removing these people who have not assimilated. They're not adhering to their oath of citizenship, and those are great reasons to denaturalize them and deport them immediately.
And if I could just insert something here. So I think about a week or 10 days ago, whenever it was that President Trump announced that he's capping the immigration numbers to 7,500 a year, I put a
Yeah.
post and I said, as an immigrant myself, now a proud American citizen, I'll say, let's put the cap on 0 for next 5 years. This is exactly why I said what I said, guys. If we continue trying to clean house, and by clean house, I don't mean deport illegals, I mean clean up our system. This is a flaw in the system when you have a judge who's willing to do this.
Yeah.
Until we clean house, get rid of all the judges that are corrupt, get rid of all the little cracks they have created in our immigration system, close the border. Until we clean house, we cannot properly vet the new legals into the country either. Again, I'm an immigrant. I came through proper channels. However, we are at a point where, thanks to Obama and dramatically thanks to Biden, it is a mess in here.
Yeah.
I personally know good immigrants who are waiting to come in, but they're
Mhm.
gonna have to sit tight until we can clean house. We can't just keep trying to juggle all of it at the same time. For 5 years, 3 years of it is Trump administration. The next two, I don't know who it is. I don't care. But we need to stop bringing anybody in. Legal,
Yeah.
illegal, special orders, work visa, nothing. Doors are closed permanently for 5 years until this house is spotless.
And it wouldn't be the first time we've done that. We've done that in the past. I can't remember if it was the late 40s or early 50s. There was a moratorium for about 20 years on all immigration into the country. They still allowed, student visas, people like that to come over that were going to be leaving afterwards. But otherwise, they shut down all immigration. They've done that at several points in our history, and it was so people could assimilate, so they could become Americans without getting flooded in by more people from whatever country they happen to hail from. So it's not unprecedented. So yeah, this is something we should do. You know what? If there is a situation that comes up during that time where there are a small number of people for legitimate asylum purposes, for persecution, they need to come in. We can always bring in a couple families here and there that are real emergency cases. But otherwise, you're exactly right. We should just close the door, let people assimilate, and people that are refusing to assimilate. I've been reading all these stories again about the Somalis in Minnesota, where a lot of them are still over here, have not become American citizens. They've been here for 30 plus years. So if in 30 years you can't be bothered to file the paperwork to become a citizen, sorry, we don't need you. This isn't the shelter for the world's rejected. We're an actual country, or we're supposed to be, and we need to start acting like one. I want to bring up one other side of this midway blitz here, too, that ironically broke just before this judge released his announcement. Whoops. But breaking, Trump announces massive drop in shootings, theft, crime in Chicago since Operation Midway Blitz launch. So these are huge numbers. Shootings are down 35%, thefts down over 40%, homicides are down a little over 40%, and this is all, at least in part, due to having boots on the ground, federal enforcement rounding up all these Tren de la Agua and other violent criminals that were roaming the streets of Chicago. Again, just like in D.C., this is a massive improvement, but I want everybody to think, how much better could this have been if we didn't have judges blocking deploying the National Guard, or going out and doing general crime enforcement like they did in D.C., partnering with local police and local law enforcement to go round up the worst of the worst, take care of warrant sweeps, help handle the backlog of homicide cases. Again, if Brandon Johnson and Pritzker weren't standing in the way of common sense for political reasons, Chicago could be a much, much safer city today.
Yeah, and also I could add that if we want to go into what ifs, it would have been it wouldn't even be needed if people would come to realize that treating our police officers makes a difference.
Yeah.
There is
Yeah.
the moment we drove to Chicago recently, both of us together, Michael. You remember the
Mhm.
banner of begging people to join police enforcement?
Yes.
Police. There is a reason some of these cities are burning down, and I mean figure of speech, some literally. It's
Yeah.
because when you get on the streets, my fellow Americans, when you get all twisted in your head and somehow you think it is good to fit into a wrong club just because you want to fit in, you get out there, you spit, figure and literally, on our police officers who are risking their lives every single day. I'm not saying all officers are good. Yes, we do have bad cops. We do have racist cops. We do. But majority of our men and women in the blue are fighting for our security. Maybe you should have backed them up, So we wouldn't be shorthanded in most of these cities where criminals run freely because, well, we don't have enough officers to go fight them. I know Los Angeles, California, in Van Nuys area, if you call 911, they will ask if somebody's dead. If they aren't dead, nobody's coming.
Jesus.
The entire area of Van Nuys is ran by 818 gang, which is a Mexican gang known as 818 because of the area code, phone area code of that area. They
Yeah.
have literally and I had an apartment unit in Van Nuys area for almost a year and a half. I literally watched my neighbor shoot his wife in the face in middle of our street.
Yeah, it's interesting you mentioned Van Nuys. I lived on Van Owen in Van Nuys and went to Van Nuys High School and for a while, for a brief period. And that's when Van Nuys was completely crawling with cops. And, I mean, it was law and order central there. And so, I just think I saw those stunningly shocking, wonderful statistics about crime going down in Chicago, across the board yesterday. And I just thought, this is the difference between having a serious president, a serious elected official, and an unserious one. Because these Democrats never pull their thumbs out. They actually want more crime. This is what they want. They want to make their cities unlivable. And they do that, and then they give away all the money. They don't care about the tax base anymore. And it's the stupidest thing you've ever seen. Why would somebody want to destroy a city like Chicago? It's just crazy. It used to be so nice. And, it's just, I'm just constantly, I'm in a state of continuous overwhelmment at the stupidity of these people and the evil. It's either they're the stupidest people or the most evil. I'm not sure which, but we have to get rid of these people somehow. And I don't know whether it's the Insurrection Act that Trump uses to start locking up Pritzker and Brandon Johnson. They're obviously, the whole city's turned against them. So, they just have their little militias of Black Lives Matter and Antifa cruising around, beating up wonderful citizens. So, it's good news that Trump is able to lower the crime statistics because they needed some relief there.
Yeah, but my question is, but back to what you just said, Bill. Agreed. So what's going to happen when the next, I guess what I'm trying to say is we got to drive this back into local action. But what happens when the next president isn't so serious about this? You know what I mean? They're just going to rebuild their crime scene again. These are the steps that Americans within their own local area, they need to watch and see the difference. Okay, so if we don't do this, if we don't take action, great. President Trump came in and helped with the crime right now. And it might continue for next 3 years. It may not, based on all these judges getting in the way. But what would a citizen do, a resident of that area do to continue maintaining that lifestyle? Again, goes back to, I'm sorry, this week I've been just constantly pointing my finger at us. We have to take responsibility for our area, for our economy of our area, local action. Yes, you're right about what you're saying, but we all know this is President Trump's last term.
Yeah.
And we can't keep risking for the next guy to follow. This needs to come back to a state level, local level, instead of expecting. I had Sheriff Mack on the Glazov gang last week, and he made a great point because I was talking about Mamdani in New York and what are the legal actions that Trump can actually take against him if Mamdani start going, Sharia on New York City. And Sheriff Mack brought up a great point. We shouldn't expect Trump to do anything about it because sheriff, police, and people of New York City needs to step up and fix it before it has to go through the federal government. It's the same thing with Chicago. It's the same thing with what is that one in Portland?
Yeah.
People really need to stand up. I'm sorry, but enough of sitting on your couch and expecting your federal government to fix or break everything.
Yeah.
When it comes to this kind of thing, it's up to you. You vote, you clean house, you run for the position. You can do a better job.
Yeah, I mean the issue is it is going to take the people because unfortunately the leadership again is corrupt. We see the Chicago police, the police in Portland, police in L.A. Defending Antifa and these illegal aliens. We've had numerous examples in Chicago. One recently was where you had a woman ICE was trying to run down after she threw a brick at a car and attacked an officer, and instead she ran through a Chicago police line and they protected her. They kept ICE from pursuing, pretending they had no idea what was going on, allowed her to get away. I think they did end up catching her later, but again, when you have the police weaponized against the American people protecting journalists in Portland, we've all heard about the arrest of Nick Sorter and what's her name, and others. Same thing. The police are out there defending. I almost called him Al Qaeda, Antifa. Same difference in the streets rather than enforcing the rule of law. But it's the people in the city too that are cheering this on. So that's the other big part of the problem. In Chicago, you can get more people out to protest ICE than you can to go defend them. And I don't know if this is partially just because of fear on our side, because they've been conditioned to stay at home and not actually go out and stand up. But a lot of it is the left is organized. They'll get out there, they'll protest, they'll put on these stupid inflatable costumes, they'll carry their little signs, and they'll go push the boundaries as far as they can because they know the police will have their back, that these judges will pop up to defend them, that they have the bail fund and all this other stuff set up to protect them from criminal actions or from the results of their criminal actions. But our side stays home. It's like in these big cities, I just don't know how we change it. I wish we could get more local people, because I do think most of them see the benefit, but they're afraid to act on that, or they won't go out and vote for it. They'll just keep voting for these same insane communist losers that we have, and then we get the result that we have today of Illinois continuing to lose population, New York, everybody's fleeing there because of Mamdani right now. California is just a cesspool from what its former glory, and until we can get the locals to actually do something about it, it's going to continue. Now, I understand we got one other breaking story. You want to clue us in on this, what just happened over in Israel, Annie?
Absolutely. Here's somewhat of a good news. So, Israeli Knesset just passed on the first read. Now, for those who don't know, it's kind of a process. So they have the first read of the bill. It needs to be approved, and then it goes for the second read and then becomes finalized. On the first read, they just approved the death penalty for convicted jihadist terrorists in Israel. It's the first time. A lot of people were shocked that Israel doesn't actually have the death penalty. But on the first read, it has been approved. So if it does get approved on the second read, on the majority of numbers, 120 seats that need to vote on, then it will become a law where convicted jihadists will be killed or they will be dead. No more bargaining chip for Hamas or Hezbollah or any other proxy to try to take hostages for prisoner swap. So that's a good news. Again, if it does pass through second read, but today on the first read, it was approved with a good gap, actually. 36 were yes, 12 or 14 were no. That's a pretty good gap that looks like it will pass.
Good, thank God, because that's something we discussed numerous times during this whole conflict since October 7th and bargaining for release, that they hand over thousands of literal terrorists for 20, 30, 40 hostages, and they've done this over and over again. And there are numerous examples where the people released by the Israelis just go back to kill more people in Israel and in other countries. This policy that they've enacted up till now is absolutely insane. I can't believe a country under that much threat did not have a death penalty. Like, I was shocked when he told me that, but again, it's par for the course. Why can't we just get out of our own way in so many of these circumstances and just do the obvious right thing for the country? Bill, any thoughts on this?
Well, it's a continuation of Obama, who did so much damage and really, jumped on board to start all the race hate in America and the constant accusations of Islamophobia against people who are very worried with good concern about the infidels being killed in order to expand the caliphate. It's just like Bo Bergdahl, right? That trade, 6 of the world's worst terrorists for Bo Bergdahl, a traitor to this country, who folded up his uniform, left his firearm neatly folded on a rock and went out to cavort with the Taliban and with Al Qaeda. So and then of course the more recent example of Democrats doing this kind of absolute horse manure is exchanging Brittany Griner for the Russian arms dealer Victor Bout. And I mean, so they're constantly, they love those trades because we get so little and they give up so much. And so I'm just glad that Trump hasn't been doing that. Trump, I think, is going to avoid that at all costs. Although, there are some things I can criticize him on, which is, I don't want to intercede on the story you have coming up, I think, about Laura Ingram's interview with him. But I'll give it to him hard and fast when we get to that story.
Yeah, well, we'll get to another one that involves President Trump, and that's Al Qaeda finally made it to the White House. I should just pull a few of these headlines. They're all wrapped up together. Trump welcomes Syrian jihad leader to White House, waives sanctions as he signs on to global coalition against ISIS, which, as Annie will get into in a moment, isn't exactly true. And from bounty to briefings. So again, like we discussed with him previously on the show, we brought up, this guy is literally responsible for the deaths of Americans in Iraq, former Al Qaeda and ISIS leader. But now we're treating him as if he's somehow legitimate. Now that he's taken over Syria and assumed the presidency there, we continue to prop him up. This doesn't make any sense. It's not in our best interest in any way that I can see across the Middle East. So I don't know why we're, now elevating this jihadi.
Bill, why don't you go first?
Okay. So, I'm not sure what to think about this. This is unlike Trump. I mean, in his first term, he had very few mistakes like this, except internally with Bill Barr and John Bolton. And it was all indicative of the wrong people having Trump's ear in the first term. And I think what we're seeing is a lot of that right now. I think Trump is exhausted from all his world travels. I disagree with people like Marjorie Taylor Greene who say that traveling all over the world and seeking peace, where peace is breaking out all over the place, is not America first. I think it's still America first. But I do think and hope that he spends more time at home now resolving some of this stuff. This guy, obviously he shouldn't be the president of Syria. We didn't do that. His party of rebels took out Assad. So we had very little choice in the matter. It wasn't a case of Biden and the CIA going in and getting rid of Bolsonaro and bringing him up on charges like they did Trump, and then bringing in Lula, a convicted criminal, bringing him out of prison and putting him in charge of Brazil. We weren't that involved in what happened in Syria. Nonetheless, having this guy in the White House is an affront to all MAGA, America First, common sense people and American patriots. So I think that, I think I see what Trump's trying to do, and he's trying to get this guy to go against ISIS. But this guy is absolutely unproven. He stinks to the high heavens in terms of being a terrorist. And I'm very disappointed in the president on this one. And I am one of the most Trump supporting MAGA journalists out there. I've been with the president since the beginning. I'm a New Yorker, and I've gotten to interview him. I've talked to him about these kinds of things. I don't know why he makes these unforced errors, these self-inflicted mistakes like this.
Well,
I'm going to read a tweet from President Trump. This is from September 4th, 2013. For your audience to get a gist of, this is about the time that United States of America designated HTS, which is Jilani, also known as al-Sharaz militia jihadist group. President Trump put out a tweet in September of 2013 saying, many Syrian rebels, referring to HTS, are radical jihadists. Not our friends, and supporting them does not serve our national interests. Stay out of Syria, which I 100% agree with. The problem I have, regardless of the why and who and how, the problem I have is, I will actually disagree, Bill. I'm working on it, but looks like Biden's CIA actually did help Jilani topple Assad.
yes.
When I have yes,
Okay.
I'm finding tipping points that this was not, especially if you look at the timeline. HTS or Jilani and his militia have been going up against Assad for almost 16 years. And then within a matter of 2 hours, they toppled Assad. We all know that signature. We've seen that signature. Right now, that being said, I actually said it on my show. I'm like, okay, for a moment, we're going to say this was not another color revolution in hands of Democrats. We're going to play that game for a minute. But my biggest problem is, first of all, after toppling Assad, the conflict ended. Assad ran away. There was no fight back. So there was no conflict in Syria. We didn't need to go in there. We could just leave it alone. There was no more conflict. There was no need for peace. Syria was done. They took the power. They became the transitional government. Syrian people could deal with it however they wanted and leave it be. There was no reason for Trump administration to go in, lift sanctions. Listen, yesterday we unfroze $120 million of Syrian assets for Jolani. That's a lot of $1 million to fund jihad. That's a lot of it. Also, we agreed to reopen Syria, give them a Syrian embassy in DC. We all know that's going to turn into a portal for Jolani to import his soldiers into America. Their ambassadors are going to have protection now, diplomatic protection. Some of these moves are very uncalled for, meaning there were no grounds for Trump administration to even get involved. There was no reason to go make Syria great again. I'm sorry, Syria has been, since its birth, it has been a lost cause for everybody. Going and making Syria great again, I think, was a giant uncalled move from Trump administration. However, I do believe that bottom line for Trump still is get that Abrahamic Accord signed by as many of these countries as possible, because don't forget, the reason Jolani got the invitation, making history to be the first president ever to receive an invitation from U.S. government and the first president ever from Syria to put foot in White House, is to get those signatures of all these countries. So comes end of January of 2026, President Trump's name will be dropped back into the possibility of peace prize. I think that's his reason. I don't think he cares for Syria to be great again. I don't think he knows we get no benefit from Syria. Does Syria has a little tiny bit of oil? Yes. But guess what? Sudan has 100 times more than Syria. We're not helping Sudan. So this isn't even about oil, because some people are like, oh, Trump is doing it for the oil. No, he's not. There is no oil. Well, there is, but it's dropped. I really think these moves are to get back on the list of peace prize. That's my take. Very dangerous moves, though.
Well, and that's what makes the most sense to me too. But it is even worse than that. This isn't just having Jolani over here for this visit to the White House yesterday. We've sent delegations to Syria, again, against our interest. Well, they've been continuing to murder Christians through the northern part of the country. We ignored that. We sent multiple delegations over, so did Congress, that were propping up and legitimizing this actual terrorist for no reason whatsoever. I don't, like you said, I don't see what the possible benefit is to us. I don't care if this guy burns the country down. We should be doing something to protect the Christians there, putting pressure on them there. But again, that wasn't part of this deal either, as far as I know. Was that even brought up? Yeah, so you've had tens of thousands of Christians murdered, and the apparently one nonviolent sect of Islam that rejects the violence in the Quran. Yeah, we're not doing anything to protect them. And instead, we're legitimizing this guy and giving him more power. Not just, this means something on the world stage. Getting this invitation to the White House, this does mean something. It has value. It legitimizes this terrorist dictator. Now, I got a video.
As the Fox News interviewer said to him, you just received the highest honor from American president you could receive.
Yeah.
Personal invitation. Well, yes, that's the PR. Starting yesterday, the fight over Jolani in Syria in Middle East is sparked 10 times higher.
Mm-hmm.
Well, and the Marxist media is fawning all over him. And that's made its way into I'm fascinated as a guy who's been in the media for 30 years about how more of the leftist Marxist a-hole media is making it into the conservative media. So one of the stories that was on, I think it was on Fox, or it might have even been on OAN or one of the other channels, was that Jolani left the White House very happy because he got what he called a super MAGA hat that he's taking back. Like, he's MAGA, so everything's okay. I'm sorry, there are a ton of people in this country who are not okay because they're pretending to be MAGA. So I don't know how you have a transition like this guy killing, killing Kurds, killing Christians, killing virtually anybody.
U.S. soldiers.
Doing like all the dirty work that he could possibly do and saying things like there's one true God and it's Allah. I'm sorry. We can't be doing business with somebody like this.
No, but I bet he was very happy about the hat. He got a lot of good photos because of it. Now, I did forget to play that video. We're going to take a quick break here from our sponsors, and I do want to get to that right after we get back, and then we'll continue this conversation. So, guys, stay with us, and we'll be right back with more.
Well, hello, everybody. It's Annie Cyrus. Welcome to my art studio where all the magic happens. This is the station for painting, and that is the station for all the resin art I do. If you want to check out my art, all you gotta do is go to lutfstudio.com. But I'm sure, for at least I hope, I'll see you at lutfstudio.com.
All right. Thank you for staying with us. And again, the best way to support our program and all the great programs here on X America News is by supporting our sponsors. And you can do that by going to lutfstudio.com. Get yourself a unique, one-of-a-kind, handmade piece of art from Annie Cyrus. And right now, you are still taking custom orders. And right now, they should still be able to get things delivered before Christmas, right?
Absolutely. Yes. We still have time. I'm doing my best to ship everything the day of order, if not next day. So even though my store will give you a 3 to 5 weeks shipping estimate, but I will get it to you before the Christmas.
Perfect. All right, guys. Well, let's just jump right back into it then. I want to play this video, and then we'll come back to you for a response. There we go. Maybe.
Did you commit to having the country join the coalition to fight ISIS in the Middle East?
We participated in so many battles against Daesh, against ISIS for 10 years, and we have suffered a lot during these battles, and I have lost much of my forces in the battles against ISIS. The reasons for the presence of the United States militarily in Syria needs to be with the coordination with the Syrian government right now. So we need to discuss these matters, and we need to talk about and get into an agreement about ISIS.
Completely untrustworthy.
And that's the thing. He literally did not commit. He's like, let's discuss details. Maybe we get into an agreement.
Yeah, it's like, I wish President Trump had just said, you got none of the cards, buddy. I wish he had invited him to the White House and said, like Zelensky, you got none of the cards. Don't come in here acting like you're in charge of things. The murderous intent in that guy's eyes are just so obvious. You can't, once you're a terrorist, you can't lose that look in your eye. Your eyes glaze over because you kill people without a second thought. That guy's got it.
Yeah. But here's the problem, Bill. President Trump, unfortunately, cannot bring him to White House and tell him that. Why? Let's go back in time real quick, briefly. Let's go to May 2025 when President Trump took his first Middle East trip after taking office. He went to Saudi Arabia, if you remember, talking to Sheikh and doing the normal Saudi Arabia stuff. And then Jelani showed up in the room. He shook hands with Jelani. Right there, he called him the good-looking guy. We're going to lift the sanctions. Majority of sanctions lifted right there. And then President Trump approved for Saudi Arabia to pay off all the debt of the country of Syria. And then he came back. Right there, President Trump lost that you don't hold all the cards. Why? Jelani is under Saudi Arabia protection. Yep. We're too deep involved with Saudi to stand up to Jelani. These are the little details that builds up to why Jelani comes to White House. I've been screaming under any administration that cut Saudi off, cut him off. They are not our allies. They've never been. Are they Iran's enemy? Absolutely. Does that make them our ally? No. Saudi has such deep roots in our life here in America. When they say Jelani is under my protection, you lift sanctions. We lifted sanctions. Then 10 days last week, UN lifted all sanctions. Then UK followed to lift all sanctions. Jelani is running a country with zero debt, no sanctions whatsoever, himself and his entire now military removed from all terrorist lists because of Saudi. And we can't go up against Saudi today. So we don't hold the cards because not Trump. Saudi has started way back in the time. There's no way I can blame Trump today for Saudi. The deep rooted axis of Saudi in America is not Trump's fault. But he doesn't have. That's why I said he shouldn't have stepped into Syria. He should just say, "You do whatever you want to do with your Jelani. We'll stay over here." But he stepped half a step into that trap of Saudi. Now we have to serve Jelani no matter what.
So, Annie, one of the things Michael and I were discussing that I suggested would be great to have you on about was kind of this Saudi Arabian fear and disgust with Iran and their support apparently of Israel in that case. When you have a choice between Iran, who you think their different flavor of Islam is against the Shias versus the Wahhabis. I mean, these are things that normal Americans, including myself, don't really understand. Is it your contention that the Saudis really hate Israel more than they fear Iran? Is it your contention that the Saudis really hate America and are not good allies? Is it your contention that they're involved with the Qataris and the Yemenis and it's all a big scam against America? I mean, what are your thoughts on that?
100%. When it comes down to Wahhabi, Sunni, Shia, it doesn't matter. Especially with Wahhabis, actually. The biggest problem Saudi has with the leaders of Iran as Shias, it's the fact that Shia leaders have twisted and tweaked certain rulings of Muhammad that comes from Saudi Arabia. Saudis take that claim that we're all blood of Muhammad, so we know better. We are superior to rest of Muslims because we are blood of Muhammad here in Saudi. With that being said, at the end of the day, when you are a Muslim of any sect, you will protect each other against the infidels, especially the filthy Jews. So yes, when it comes down to final decision to be made, Saudi, Qatar, Kuwait, Bahrain, Dubai, the most modern Abu Dhabi, all of them are going to stand against Israel and America to protect their Muslim brothers of any sect.
So the Abraham Accords are just a complete farce?
They are what we call hudna. It's the Islamic allowance of temporary peace treaty with the enemy when you do not have the capability to defeat them. You're allowed to make up to 10 years. Up to 10 years of peace treaty. You have 10 years to come up with a way to finish it off or renew the treaty within shorter period of the time. That's actually how Muhammad conquered Mecca, through Hudna. He signed a 10-year treaty with the Quraysh tribe in Mecca. Within 2 years, he built enough of an army to go kill them all and conquer Mecca. That was the end of it. From there, and because the name of the treaty in the Islamic teaching is Hudaina, it became Hudna, allowing a Muslim country, Muslim military, Muslim nation to make peace, fake peace treaty with the infidels until they can regroup and have the power to defeat the enemy. So the Abrahamic Accord, all of us, those of us who talk Islam, from day one, we've said, this is a Hudna. This is a Hudna. They are not allowed. Quran 47:35 says, do not call for peace when you are superior. They're not allowed to call for peace when they are superior, but right now they're not. They can't fight America and Israel yet. So yes, those are all Hudna. They're all fake Tekiya format of peace treaty under Sharia.
Yeah. And let's not forget, I'm sure they're happy to take the financial benefits of a short-term peace agreement and, continue to sink their hooks in us in the U.S. Right now, that's the other piece of leverage. We need to get Saudi Aramco completely out of the United States. We need to become truly energy independent here. We have no foreign influence, no foreign investment, no foreign anything. We're controlling our own energy through oil, natural gas, and coal, and are no longer reliant on OPEC or any of these other national infrastructures. Because, again, as we've seen with what's going on in Europe and Russia, that gives you a lot of power over a potential enemy if you're controlling their fuel supply. So
I have a better option for us, actually, Michael. If we would allow, I'm not saying we go anywhere, as you know, I'm against us stepping in Middle East altogether. By the way, side note, did you both, Bill and Michael, did you hear Jelani said President Trump is sending troops to Syria? Did you catch
I did
that part?
catch that. Yes.
I didn't.
Oh gosh, yes,
I
we're
would have been
sending-
horrified. I would have vomited if I
He
heard that.
slipped it right in there saying U.S. president has every reason to have military presence in Syria, but we will coordinate that with us. I'm like, when I heard, I'm like, oh no, come on. We should. He tweeted about get out of Syria about our troops in 2013. Why are you sending our troops in Syria? Anyways, that's a topic for a completely different show. Here's an idea. Why don't we allow Israel finish the mullahs? People of Iran topple the mullahs. We will go back to where Pahlavi was helping us as a real ally with no agenda, with our oil and many other things. We have Israel and Iran. The rest of them are going to disappear. If we want to fix things in Middle East to our benefit, that is the only scenario that America will absolutely benefit from without us getting involved at all. Let Israel finish the mullahs, people of Iran topple the mullahs, and our princes are standing by to take power. The son of very king who was our strongest ally in Middle East, above Israel as strongest. Let's just do that. Well, we don't even have to lift a finger.
Exactly. We can just come in and benefit from it once it's done. And that's truly in our self-interest, opposed to all these peace agreements, which again are just a facade. They're going to fall apart first chance they get, first opportunity they have, or once the 10-year clock runs out. And we're going to end up back in the same situation we were before, being held hostage here by dependence on energy and throughout the threat of war against Israel and threat of war throughout the Middle East. So better to fix the problem once and for all, and then we don't have to deal with any of these people. They can all fight amongst themselves. We can protect our friends in the area, but we just don't have to get involved anymore because they have no leverage over us. Let's go ahead and pull this next story because, again, it's somewhat related. U.S. offers to help Bolivia weaken Iranian influence built under socialists. So this is an opportunity that's come up in Bolivia, and I know there's some people in South America that have some questions about their new president there because years ago he did have some ties to... I just totally blanked on the guy's name that he just replaced. It'll come to me here in a second. But he has been consistently talking about the damage done to the country since then. I do think he's an ally in the region, and this is an opportunity. He's reaching out. He wants to form a close relationship with the United States. Same with he's already in talks with Argentina and with El Salvador. They want to modernize. They want to end this socialist regime that's crushed them. Because again, Bolivia was one of the richest nations in South America before, just like just like Venezuela used to lead the way down there. But they installed Evo Morales. He was a Hugo Chavez puppet. And they basically destroyed the country. Again, went from having one of the better economies in South America to this extremely corrupt where, just like in Venezuela, now they have food crises, job crises. They can no longer support their own people. But this is an opportunity to help remove the hooks that Iran's put into this country and replace them with something that'll be beneficial to us and beneficial to the people of South America. Because we really do need to build a coalition down there. We've already seen what's happening with Colombia and Brazil. It's time to stop that now, since conservatism and libertarianism is on the ascendancy in South America. It's becoming a freer, better place. We're going to need allies anyway, because in long term, there is going to be a conflict coming between us and these cartels. And that means, and a lot of these South American governments benefit from them, as we've seen with the president of Colombia. Bill, oh, sorry, you go first then, Annie.
No, mine is short. I'll just repeat myself. Why don't we just cut the snake's head instead of going and cleaning up after them in Venezuela, Bolivia, Syria, Afghanistan? Just cut the snake's head. Look, Iran's, as an Iranian, let me put this out there, just if any of your audience don't know where I'm from. As an Iranian, I can guarantee you, I can show you the proof and the receipt for last 46 years, everywhere you turn, wherever you go to our enemy, from Russia to China to Venezuela, Bolivia, Pakistan, ISIS, Al Qaeda, Hezbollah, Hamas, Houthis. There's just one handprint. That is Islamic Republic of Iran's mullahs. Cut them off. Finish them. If you need to do a war, do that. If you need to strangle them with sanctions from every single country, do that. Whatever it takes, I don't care. Stop cleaning room by room by room. It's one of those times. You take out the mullahs, all your problems will solve itself. Simple as that.
That sounds like a plan to me, Annie. Bolivia, I guess what the Iranians are doing in Bolivia, it seems like they're a clear surrogate for the Chinese Belt and Road project.
Well, I think they have their own initiatives, but yeah, they're kind of following that model, not really linked to China, though. Same thing they did in Venezuela.
Yeah, but there's no doubt they're having some conversations. She is probably saying to the Ayatollah, why don't you take Bolivia for a little while, and then we'll help fund you. Obviously Iran doesn't have as much money as China and can't work the world the way China's done with their Belt and Road Initiative. So I think it's good that we try to fight back against some of this. But ultimately, it's going to be the countries that are having the choice between working with China/Iran and the United States of America. I'm just praying on that one because, I guess we went into, where do we go into? Australia or somewhere, and start saying, it was somewhere over in the Pacific Rim. We started saying, hey, listen, we're going to start taking the Chinese influence out. For sure, the Panama Canal was one area where we did that. But there are other countries that are strategically important in the Pacific Rim, because you can't achieve world domination without Australia and the Pacific Rim, as we all know from playing games of Risk in college.
Yeah, well, that may be. And guys, I got a quick update. This is kind of funny. We'll see what comes of it. But apparently Comey's attorneys just got caught providing doctored transcripts for his perjury trial. So I don't know if the judge is the one that made this decision. It doesn't really notice this, or what happens, or what the ramifications are going to be. Apparently they just got caught.
Is that disgusting little freak Abby Lowell, who was Hunter Biden's attorney? Because he's representing a lot of these people like Jack Clark and Abby Lowell.
I don't see that name in here yet.
Okay.
I may have spelled Lowell wrong though. I just did a quick, Control F search.
You, Michael. Sorry, but it just popped into my head.
Yeah, this doesn't say one way or another, or who submitted it. Just that, and I'm assuming this must be coming from the judge and the way this is worded, because it says not good for Comey. He was caught providing fraudulent evidence and doctor documents to the judge in preparation for his trial. That's not a good look. Now I totally lost my train of thought what I was going to say regarding Bolivia, but I guess we'll just move on from there.
Take Iran out. That's what you were going to say. Let's go take Iran out.
Yeah. Well, all we have to do is take the handcuffs off Israel. I mean, Trump stopped them from completing the job before, wanted a peace agreement in place at the end of the 12-day war. But,
did you know, technically, if it would go really technical in international laws, ceasefire laws, war laws, all of that, technically Iran already broke ceasefire. How? 12 days ago, Israeli government, also the agency, being atomic agency, both released information, data, and proof, satellite imaging, that Islamic Republic of Iran has resumed their nuclear activities at Kolang Mountain. And that right there
is violation of terms.
Violation of terms of ceasefire. The ceasefire was for Iran to stop, come back to negotiations. Not only Iran has not come back to negotiations, but now we have proof from the agency. It's not like, Israeli made it up, because, many people think Israel made things up. agency has confirmed, one, they know for a fact that Iran has moved the 400 kilograms of enriched uranium before we drop the bombs. That has been confirmed. Secondly, they have satellite images that there are activities at Kolang Mountain, that they are resuming nuclear activities. That is that. The second way we could make this an argument that Israel can go back attacking Iran because Iran broke ceasefire is, if you remember, Michael, I'll send you the report.
Mm-hmm.
There were weapons found, discovered from Iran going to who? Hamas. Both Hamas and Iran in that one case could have been found guilty of breaking ceasefire.
Yeah.
Israel could resume war with both. But as you said, we got handcuffs on Bibi.
Yep.
So technically, even if right now Israel attacked either Hamas or Iran, I want your audience to know they didn't break ceasefire. They're retaliating because Iran and Hamas did break ceasefire 2 different ways, not just one.
Annie, for me, the most desirable solution to the Iran problem is for the people themselves to rise up and crush and start hanging the mullahs from cranes.
But
is that ever going to happen? Or because Obama left them hanging so many times, literally, like left the people there, said, yes, we'll help you and support you, and then left them hanging? Are they ever going to, I mean, they're strong, brave people, but maybe they feel so much under the gun from the mullahs and the IRG and everything else. Will they rise up and take back their country?
The short answer is yes, but let me set the record straight. Obama never promised Iranian people to help them. When 2009 Green Wave movement started, Obama got behind the microphone and told people of Iran, we feel sorry for you, but the rule of your country is rule of your country. Go home. He defended the Sharia constitution of Iran and told Iranian people to go home or die. That was Obama's stand. He never promised, nor did he deliver. Now, people of Iran cannot topple this regime on their own. Reason? Well, they don't have a Second Amendment, number one.
Yeah.
And the supreme leader of Iran, that I know nobody likes to remember this, the very supreme leader that President Trump saved his life back in June, always orders the shit to kill. Every time there's an uprising, he tells his jihadists to kill Iranian people, shoot to kill on the streets. The last uprising, we had the youngest of 8-year-old girls shot and killed on the uprising. And yes, she was part of uprising, by the way. She was out there with her white hijab on her hand. They shot and killed her.
Shot her in the back, I think.
It was the back, yes. Yes, she took 2 bullets, one on the back shoulder, one close to the neck. That was the one that killed her. So this time they were getting ready to come out with the 12 days war. I actually reported, I said, I got the first announcement that on the coming Saturday, people are coming out. Well, guess what? We got Mullah's ceasefire. People had to go back home. So unfortunately, personally, my biggest disappointment that I have verbalized toward President Trump is that he should have let that play itself out. He should have let Israel had him. We had confirmation that 2 planes left Iran with Mullah's family members evacuating. That is the closest we have ever come to them fleeing Iran. But that ceasefire was the end of it. But yes, for Iranian people to do what it takes for our prince to take power as a transitional government, as he has said, not as a monarch, but as a president, we're gonna need Israel to go back and finish what they started. Then yes, people can finish it.
Agreed. Well, we are out of time, unfortunately. So I want to get any words of wisdom or any information we'll leave our audience with before we go. And I guess we'll just go to you first, Annie.
I'll talk more. Yay. I want to say this, since from the beginning of the show, I want to tell your audience and mine, because we're also streaming on my platforms this morning. Guys, I'm going to use Mamdani. Okay. Some of you are like, we need to focus on the Democrat side of him. Some say the social part of him. Some say the Muslim part of him. with all of my knowledge of doing this for over a decade, being an ex-Muslim, follower of Christ today, I can tell you there is none, not even a split hair difference between a Democrat, a socialist, a communist, or an Islamist. Believe me, there is no difference. Democrats, socialists, communists, and Islamists, they all have one thing in common, and that is absolute hatred for America and what she stands for. It's not about the land, it's not about the streets, it's what America stands for. So don't bother yourself separating and differentiating. Know them as one flag of enemy of America. That's all I have to say this morning.
You're exactly
Well,
right. And yeah. Real quick, Bill.
Yeah,
One thing
I
we didn't
echo
get
that.
to is, yeah, real quick. One thing we didn't get to is, yeah, there is this call going out right now for Muslims, whether they came here through Biden's open border or had already lived here for the last, I don't know, 30 years, to move to New York. So we are going to see a giant influx there, and you are going to see things changing.
I called it.
Yeah. There's also a report that they're starting to blast the call to prayer at 5:30 in the morning through a couple neighborhoods in the Bronx and other places. A bunch of people put up videos of it yesterday. I didn't see them until after we'd already done the show, but this is already starting to happen, and they're going to get more and more bold, especially after he's sworn in as mayor. Sorry, Bill, go ahead.
No, I just would echo everything Annie said and add that she's absolutely right. When you talk about Bernie Sanders and AOC, they are supposed Democrats, occasionally an independent in Bernie Sanders' case, but they're really communists. And they take the socialist moniker, they add that into Democrat as a way of misleading people about their intentions for this country. Karl Marx himself said, there's really no such thing as socialism. It's just the penultimate step before full-blown communism. So we lull our targets into a false sense of security with this socialism business, and we're gonna take their cows and sell them the milk back, and all this kind of stuff, all this slap happy bullshit. And then you've got the Mamdani, who's the Islamo-communist fascist, and Omar Fettah. Thank God that guy lost. Thank you, Jesus. But we've got to start cracking down on these people in our country. And it starts really with Ilhan Omar and removing her for immigration fraud by marrying her brother. I mean, I'm surprised it wasn't a goat she married, but there's no such thing as an American goat. So, we've got to remove her, and that'll start the chain, right? That'll start the chain of removing these people. Send Mamdani and his father and his mother back to Uganda. Get rid of these people one by one. But we got to start doing it now. And it's I'm tired of seeing New York, the call of prayer in Times Square. No, forget about it. No, unacceptable under any circumstances.
It's coming soon, like it or not. And yeah, you remember until I can't remember if it was 78 or 79, it was illegal for a Muslim to hold office in the United States. And for some reason, we reversed that. Because Sharia was incompatible with American values. Again, we used to, have things we actually stood for and enforce laws that made sense. But now we've lost our freaking minds, and hopefully we get them back soon, or it is going to lead to the destruction of our country. All right. Again, thank you both for joining me this morning. To our audience, thank you for joining us. Please like, share, and subscribe. Help us to grow so we can bring more people the news the mainstream media doesn't want you to hear.